Hi, good morning. Happy Monday. Nice to see you all again. So, thanks for being here. And yeah, I want to talk this week about not just fleeting moments that we have, but also stepping back. Talked a little bit about this last week, but stepping back from who we think we are. So, all the outside distractions that we live by, whether that's social media, um, events that happen in our lives, discussions that we have with certain people, rather than being consumed by those times, consumed by those conversations, consumed by the social media, this idea of stepping back and noticing. So, basically, when we are heavily consumed um, by, let's just choose our thoughts, actually. So if we are ruminating about something that might be bothering us, we are so immersed in that thought that it's difficult to step back and be rational about it. It's difficult to see the wood for the trees. There's a reason why a lot of these old cliches are cliches. That's because they're true. They're good. They make sense. So how do we see the wood for the trees? And it's stepping back. So the same thing is true with social media. So you start scanning through Instagram, Facebook, whatever it might be, and then of course you get onto something, you get interested in that, and oh, that leads on to something else. And before you know it, you are just on that treadmill and you're being consumed. We all do it. It's very normal. We all do it all the time. The same thing is with our thoughts. And this can also apply in meditation. So if you're meditating and a thought comes in, the difference between being consumed by it and in meditation is the noticing. So you can only notice that A, you're either being consumed or that you are going down a rabbit hole of thought when you step back from that. So it's a little bit like being a third party. Now, this is going to it's going to sound really deep when I talk about it. Um, in fact, to make it less deep, I'm going to swap the word consciousness with awareness. I'll keep it a little bit less deep, maybe. But it is deep. It's a really profound thought. So the thought around consciousness, awareness, is this idea of stepping back. When we are fully conscious beings, think about it in the literal sense, we are conscious as opposed to unconscious. We're awake. We are seeing everything from a 360-degree angle. Not literally, but we are taking in everything at the same time. We're not so focused on one thing that we lose our perspective. An example of that might be watching something on telly, which is really captivating and it takes your attention and you're drawn to it. And you forget that you're sitting in your lounge room or wherever you might be on the chair and things are happening around you and other people in your house might be doing certain things. You kind of lose your awareness. It's the same as if you're in a cinema watching a movie. You hope to be so consumed by it. It's great when you are. It's pure escapism. And that's because you are escaping from your conscious mind. So you forget that you're sitting in the cinema next to random strangers who you've never even spoken to before. Put the pandemic aside for a moment. Just generally normal living. You're sitting in a movie house and there's people around you've never ever met before, right next to you, right behind you, in front of you. And you're so consumed, you're not even aware of these people and their energy until they start crunching their popcorn. or something takes you out of that. And then you're like, oh, okay, God, yeah, wow, this theater's busy. This movie's, it's got a lot of people coming, and then you go, oh, back to the movie again. It's that stepping back. And there's nothing wrong with being consumed in something like a movie, a positive thing. It's all fine. It's an example, though, of how we can be so consumed that we lose our perspective. So if we take that in the realm of thought, um, and emotions, actually, starting with a thought, though, in meditation, when our thoughts come in to our mind, the whole practice of meditation is not allowing this consumption, not allowing this being consumed. So you'll notice when you do it, when you start to notice that you're having a thought, you've already stepped back from that thought. It's already become a mindful practice because you've stepped back and you've seen, you've gone, oh, okay, I'm having those thoughts again. There it is. So already that's happening. So that's a good thing. That's part of the noticing. Also, with meditation, you can notice the quality of the thought. So when we're meditating and the thought comes in, we can either choose to go along with it and get taken into the narrative and then lose ourselves into that being consumed. If it is an insightful thought, like some really great idea, some kind of enlightening idea, sometimes that's okay. But if you can notice the quality of your thought and choose whether you get attached to it or not, that's a whole other thing. So I like to call it domestic thoughts, the thoughts that don't really serve us and we just have all the time, like, oh, what shall I eat for dinner tonight? Or, I mustn't forget my keys when I leave today. Or, little things that constantly we are thinking about. If they come up when you're meditating, they're just domestic thoughts. Let them go. They just pass by. Think about it as you are. Let's just imagine that you're looking at a blank screen for a moment. Don't do it now. We're just going to imagine this scenario. Okay, so you're looking at a blank screen and there's nothing there. There's absolutely nothing, right? And you're aware that there is nothing. Let's call this the seat of awareness, consciousness. There's nothing. And then you get this line of objects that pass. So it might be a red car, a brown horse, a blue shoe, a garbage bin, a red jacket, a blue dress, a wheel of a bike. These objects come along. And you look at them and you watch them go by and you go, right, okay, yeah, that's happening, that's happening. You're being aware, you're stepping back and you're seeing all the objects. One might catch your eye though. It might be the blue dress. And you go, oh my goodness, that's the kind of thing I've been looking for that party that I was meant to go to before the pandemic. God, has it got the same neckline? And before you know it, you zoomed in on that object. So there you have come from conscious awareness, seeing everything, the wood for the trees, you just see the wood, and you've gone straight to the one object. You're being consumed by that object. Now, it's the same with emotions. It's the same with emotions. So when we get caught up in emotions, it's very easy to go down the rabbit hole because you feel your emotions, right? Sometimes we can feel our thoughts as well, but that's usually because they've led to an emotional response. So when you feel your emotions and you notice with thoughts that they provide or cause these certain emotions, these are really good triggers to make you go, oh, hang on a minute, I'm feeling a certain way. Let's just see, oh, okay, my stomach's feeling a bit tight. Maybe, yeah, this is a stressful thought. This is a stressful emotion. Or I'm so upset, I just can't bear it. My stomach is in knots. You're noticing these emotions and then you get consumed by them. If again, and this is very, very, I don't say very difficult because it's everything just takes practice, but it's that practice of stepping away and going, okay, my body is having this emotion, which has been triggered by that thought. I can step back from that and know that my body is having this emotion triggered by that thought. If I step back from it, I've got a chance of controlling it. I know it's not easy, but that's the idea. I'm going to give you one last visual to make this a little bit clearer before we start the meditation. So imagine an airport and think about the airport as being a big empty space before there are any people coming and going and planes outside of it, right? There's no people, there's no planes. It's just an empty space, right? So let's talk about the empty space being the consciousness, being the awareness, right? Planes start arriving from other destinations, but you stay the same. You're still this concrete block of space. You are the awareness. And then people start flooding in from different countries, going different paths, lots of people everywhere, milling around, all over the airport. Think about all of these people as separate thoughts. They're all going off in different directions. Some of them can be emotions, some of them can be thoughts, but you stay the same. You are just that one building watching all of these people coming and going. You don't change. You are always there. You are always this space of awareness. People come and go in the same way as your thoughts come and go. Your emotions come and go. The awareness stays the same. So it's this idea of stepping back from all of that busyness, all of the thoughts that you have and the emotions that you have. It's the ability, and it's a craft. You have to learn it, but you can do it through meditation. It's noticing is the word, noticing. That then leads on to the awareness. All right, so that's what I wanted to share with you today. And also work on through this meditation today. So let's begin. Close your eyes. Get nice and comfortable. And I just want you to notice, don't think about meditating. Just notice your body. Notice anything that comes up. It might be a tight muscle. Notice your breathing without changing it. Again, you have to step outside of it to notice it. If you become too consumed by it, you might try and control how you breathe. All the time I was talking, you would have been just breathing a natural way. Just do the same thing. Just keep breathing naturally, but see if you can step back and notice how you're breathing. This breathing that you do naturally is quite miraculous. You never have to think about it. It knows exactly what to do. So just take note, see if your breathing is even-sided. Doesn't have to be. You're just noticing whether it is, whether it isn't. Whether your breathing is quite shallow, if it feels relaxed, if it's deep, if the breaths are long or short. Maybe you'll just notice whether your belly inflates very slightly on your inhale. And of course, if it just lets go on the exhale. And then just take your attention to your feet, wherever your feet are placed. Let's start off with the heel of the right foot. Scanning the body is always a good way to bring yourself into awareness because it's happening right now. And I want you to try and imagine every time I mention a piece of your body, I want you to take your attention to that part without moving it. So you're feeling and sensing where that part is on your body without having to touch it or move it. You're just sensing it from the inside out. So take your attention to your right heel for a moment. Just see if you can isolate isolate the heel from the rest of your body. And then take your attention to the middle arch of your right foot. Your right big toe. And the second toe. The middle toe, your third toe. The fourth toe. And the little toe. And take your awareness to the skin on the top of your foot. And your right ankle. And then just sweep over to the left side, your left heel, isolating that part, just seeing if you can just take all your focus there. And then the middle arch of that foot, the left big toe, second toe, middle toe, fourth toe, and the little toe. And the skin on top of your foot. And now your ankle, seeing if you can soften around your ankle. Now, before we do any other parts of the body, we're going to do a little conscious breath exercise. And we're going to bring the both sides of the breath, we're going to bring them both in at the same length. So the in breath is going to be equal to the out breath. And that's going to be 5 seconds in and 5 seconds out. And I will count you in for the first few, and then you can keep going for a wee while. But it's really good to do this exercise for 5 minutes. So I will time you so that you don't need to worry about wondering how long you've been doing it. And the other thing is that I will be talking over that 5 minutes every now and then, just giving you suggestions to focus on while you're breathing that way. And then we're going to come back into the body again. So just let go of all of your breath. So even if you just breathed out, breathe out again. There's always more, breathing it all out. If you can breathe in through the nose, great. If not, don't worry. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out. 2, 3, 4, 5, and in. 2, 3, 4, 5, and out. 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep going in, keep going. Notice if you're tempted to speed up or if you can try and keep that same seconds, 5 seconds. You may even be tempted to slow down a bit. Just notice. It takes a bit of practice to get the in and the out breath even. You might find that you're taking in too much breath to go for the 5 seconds. We might be able to just monitor that. So you're breathing in a little bit more evenly and out more evenly. Just working with your own capacity. Also notice if, because you're counting, notice if the breath is slightly staggered or if it's smooth, smooth like silk. Just see how it's moving in and out of your body and seeing if you can soften it. So if you imagine the counts are like steps going up the stairs, see if you can turn the steps into an escalator so it's smooth. It's just an experiment. You don't have to judge yourself too harshly on it, just as an idea, something to practice while you're still doing the counts. And one other thing to think about is at the top of the breath and at the bottom of the breath, seeing if you can round the corners rather than being jagged at the top of the breath and at the bottom. See if you can round it so it becomes a smooth wave, breathing in and out. And then you can let go of the count. That was 5 minutes. So just allow yourself to look behind your eyelids now. So just sink back, as in let go of the counting, let go of your breath, And just relax into yourself and notice how that feels. So if you look at the back of your eyelids, you can treat this little space as a chill out room. This little place you can just kind of sink into yourself, this infinite space. And just notice how your body is now, how your breathing is now that you've stopped counting. Are you still doing the same kind of flow, or are you just taking a literal breather where there's just nothing going on? Might be very shallow breath. It may just be gazing at the back of your eyelids. Notice how your body is now reacting to this little breather. It might have been that when you were focusing on the 5 in and the 5 out, it might be that your body tensed up a couple of muscles because you were concentrating, focusing. It might be. And if it is, you'll notice that as you slowly let go and just soften even more into your body. Just seeing how you respond physically to this little resting place. And any thoughts that come in, if they do, that's fine. Just notice the quality of them, let them go, and come back to your chill out room. And while you're here, if your hands are on your lap or wherever they are, actually, just turn them so that the palms are facing up and let them just rest. Lap is a good place, or it might be on the chair, whatever you're sitting on. We're going to come back into this isolating the different parts of the body again. So we're going to start with the hands. So just take your focus now to your right wrist. Just relax the right wrist, nice and heavy. And then bring your awareness to your right thumb without moving it. So just like we did earlier with the feet, bring yourself the same awareness to that right thumb. See if you can feel it in isolation to everything else. And then without moving it, take the attention to the right index finger. And then the middle finger. And then the fourth finger on the right hand. And then the little finger. Now, it probably will feel like your whole hand feels a bit numb. If you didn't move the fingers, your whole hand will feel a bit numb. You won't know whether your fingers are straight or curled. You'll have a bit of an idea, but you won't know for sure. And it's just letting go of that, not worrying about whether they are straight or curled. You just bring your awareness there. And then bring your attention to the palm of your hand. So the skin that covers the palm of your hand might be a bit creased, might not be. But you're feeling it from the inside. And then just notice if there are any sensations that come up in the palm of your hand. It might just be the back of the hand resting on your lap or the table or the chair. Or there may be some sensation. It might just be numbness. Holding that there as you just bring yourself over to your left wrist. And relax there a little bit more. And then let's go the other way so it's not habitual. We're going to start off with your little finger on the left hand. See if you can isolate that without moving it. Always a tendency to move, especially that little finger for some reason. See if you can just keep it still and just sense where it is from the inside. And then the fourth finger. And then the middle finger in isolation, and then the index finger, and then your thumb. Feeling the back of the hand resting, and then the palm of the hand, the skin there, whether it's creased or not, whether the fingers are straight or they're curled, can't tell, doesn't matter. And just really sensing that numbness. And just being aware of any sensations. There might be some tingling in your fingers. These are just suggestions, they're not mandatory, and don't judge yourself if you don't feel them. These are just ideas that could be happening. So you could be feeling a tingling. You might just be feeling numb. You might just be feeling the backs of the hands resting heavy. Or you might also be feeling something that feels a little bit like a weight in your hands, as if there's a little bit of energy that you're holding the weight. Could just be the air. Whatever it is, just feeling that and really focusing on that. Any sensations that come up, noticing what they are. Now I want you to imagine that somebody is tapping the top of your head. So it's the crown of your head. Just imagine that they're tapping very lightly so you can feel it from the inside. You know what that feeling is like. You're aware of that part of your head without having to touch it. You can feel it from the inside. And now notice whether you're breathing into your belly or not, whether your belly is expanding on your in-breath and relaxing on the out-breath. Bring your attention to your calf muscles on both legs if they feel heavy. Your shoulder blades, if they feel like they're sliding down your back. The rib cage moving with every breath. Now really focus on the rib cage. I want you to really visualize the rib cage expanding on every inhale, like a pair of wings coming out to the sides. On every out breath, moving back into the center again. So just feel the ribs expanding with every in breath. And visualize them expanding and retracting. And now I want you to take your awareness to your heart inside your rib cage. And imagine that your heart is doing the breathing. So the heart is expanding with every in breath, as well as the rib cage. Now, as well as the breath coming in through your nose or your mouth, I want you to imagine that the in breath is coming in through your fingertips as well. So that in breath is filling up your arms as well as your rib cage and your heart space. And there's so much breath coming in through your arms that that breath is also traveling down into the rest of your body. So your whole body is breathing as one. Imagine your whole body being one cell, undivided, no isolated parts, just one. And to make this maybe a little bit easier, just bringing your focus to the back of your eyelids. So keep imagining the body, the whole body, filling up with breath, and letting go of that breath as though it is just one cell breathing life in. And just keeping that awareness behind your eyelids, seeing how long you can keep the sensation of the body breathing as one, and also the focus behind the eyelids. So that is all one. The focus behind the eyelids is just part of this cell that is breathing. You're just looking at it from the inside, allowing yourself to fill up. Now just give yourself, award yourself a positive word. That can be happy, it can be joy, it can be laughter, it can be abundance, it can be clarity, it can be anything that you need right now, that you would like right now. And just breathe in that word. Every time you breathe in, just say quietly to yourself. So you're not just filling yourself up with air, with oxygen, with breath. You're filling yourself up with the positive feeling of this word as well. Noticing how that feeling feels in your body, how it fills up every part. Then you can just feel it as one big feeling all over your body. Now, if you're in a good space with that, I suggest you stay there as long as it's possible for you. It's really nice for two reasons. One is that if you're in a good spot, you don't want to come out of it. So don't stay there if you've got the time and you can. Stay with that whole idea of breathing in the positivity and letting it fill you. And just looking at the back of your eyelids. As long as that feels possible, you'll probably know when to finish. And then the other good idea about that is that you then become the master of your ship. You then are not being led by me. You're deciding yourself how long to stay there. And also, when I switch off my video, it means that you're meditating on your own. And that's a really good place to be. So I'm going to leave you now. Wish you well. Hope to see you next week. And yeah, just make sure that when you do come out of your meditation, you do so very gently and be soft with yourself.